Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into some very specific sources.
That's right. We're looking at this idea of public perception, leadership actions,
Yeah.
and how that might potentially connect to business results.
Exactly. So we've got excerpts from a piece called Musk's Gesture and Tesla Sales, and also a link to an Electrek article. This one's about Tesla sales declining in France.
Right. Two distinct pieces of information.
And our mission really is just to unpack what these specific sources claim. Is there a link suggested between a perceived gesture by Elon Musk, this idea that some kind of public declaration is needed, and the potential effect on Tesla sales, especially in Europe?
And we're sticking strictly to what's in these materials.
Absolutely. So let's unpack this.
Okay, so that first source, Musk's gesture and Tesla sales, it jumps right in, doesn't it? It draws a line, basically, from a leader's perceived action to,
Yeah.
well, to a required public statement.
A required state.
And that's how the author puts it. It argues that if Musk is seen as intelligent, he must clarify a specific raised arm gesture. The source suggests some might perceive it negatively, relating it to fascism, and that he needs to state clearly it was just, an innocent greeting.
Okay, so the emphasis in that source is really on the perception of the gesture and this claimed need for a very public response to counter that perception.
Precisely. And then it makes that connection to business.
Right. Here's where it gets quite direct. The source explicitly says if this declaration, this clarification isn't made, well, it could hurt Tesla car sales.
And specifically mentions Europe.
Yes, specifically Europe.
And, the author goes even further. They suggest that even if Tesla made, and I think the quote is something like, the best cars in the world,
Okay.
that this issue, this lack of clarification, could still damage the company's standing. The argument presented is that the leader's perceived stance, or maybe the failure to push back against a negative perception, could actually outweigh product quality for some buyers. That's the viewpoint in this source.
That's quite a claim. That perception could trump the product itself.
According to this author, yes. It's a strong perspective.
Okay, so that's the argument laid out in the first piece. And then separately, we have that second source you mentioned, the Electrek link.
Yeah, completely separate article. This one's more straightforward reporting. It mentions a decline in Tesla sales.
And specifically where?
Specifically in France, a major European market.
Okay. So let's connect these then, based purely on what we have. Source one theorizes gesture perception, lack of clarification could hurt sales, especially in Europe.
Right. It presents that potential cause and effect from the author's viewpoint.
And then source two provides a data point. Sales did decline in France, which is obviously in Europe.
Exactly. So when you put the two sources side by side, you see one presenting a potential problem and predicting a European impact, and the other reporting an actual sales drop in a key European country. The sources together kind of lay out this potential alignment.
It's important to stress, though, these sources present this perspective. One theorizes a link, the other notes a decline. They don't definitively prove causation themselves.
Absolutely not. We're just recording what's in the sources provided. One author's opinion and one piece of reported data.
So what's the sort of bottom line here, based on these materials? It seems these sources, taken together, highlight a view that public perception around even like a single action or gesture from a CEO.
And the communication, or lack of it, afterward?
Right. That all that could, in the opinion of the first author, have real tangible consequences for how a business performs. And the second source adds a real-world data point from the region mentioned.
It definitely raises that question, according to these sources anyway, about just how much influence a leader's perceived actions and words might have on consumers. Does it potentially affect buying decisions, even if the product itself is, as one source suggests, top-notch?
It's certainly a thought-provoking angle presented here. It makes you wonder, based on these texts, how much weight consumers might actually give to the leader versus the product. Does the person potentially overshadow the thing they're selling?
That seems to be the core question these sources together put on the table.
Oh, if you found this deep dive valuable and want more analysis of source materials like this, please do consider liking and subscribing to the channel.